Okay, it says the video is unavailable. Hold on. The internet can totally see you now. To stop. Yeah. How about that? The internet cannot see me right now. I don't think. Unless we open up a second page that I can't see, which is possible.
I would help, but...
Ladies and gentlemen, just in case you are able... Yeah, it's showing us as live on our channel.
Oh,
and two people
no.
are watching, and it's not... El Jefe, I appreciate that, man. We're having some technical issues with the actual thing we set up before. I really hate this live streaming solution. I just want to throw this out there. If there's anybody at YouTube who is watching this right now, the way you guys have live streams set up is so antithetical to a normal workflow, it makes me want to pull out my hair.
Wow.
But I really like my hair, so I'm not going to do that.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we just got... Shut up. I'm just kidding.
You son of a gun.
I was like, whoa, they are watching.
Yeah, well, I really hope somebody's apparently waiting in the other stream. I don't really know what to do about that, but we're going to keep this one going because we've got it live. And I'm just going to really hope that, you know, enough people are interested. Crow, do you have Wi-Fi in there? Nope, you really don't. This is a stellar day, guys. Well, first of all, welcome to those of you joining us. I'm Jason. This is Crow. You may have seen Crow from such wonderful things as your inbox or Twitter.
Right.
Both of which are great. Crow, thanks for joining us, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You want to tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Oh, boy. I don't know what to say. I am 5'6". I like long walks on the beach.
Well, who doesn't?
And I really like medieval architecture. And I'm a kind of a nerd, I guess.
You know,
Is that what
you do well here then?
Want to know. Yeah.
Well, I think so. Well, I don't know. I'm going to try and figure this out as we go. I think, you know, let's just jump into it. First thing, though, before we start talking about today's topic, which, if you're just joining us, doesn't make any sense if you look at the video description, because, of course, we can't seem to match this to the preview we set up. We want to talk about the video games of 2018. We want to talk about what was good, what was bad, what we're looking forward to in 2019, etc. Before we do, though, I want to give a shout out to somebody quite special and friendly here to the Unboxed team.
Okay.
Shout out to Kevin the Tech Ninja and his family. They just had a baby boy. Could not be more excited for them. So we just wanted to say congratulations. I'm sure he's not watching. I'm certain that he is off being a good dad.
He's got things to take care of.
Right. I mean, literally now, a life is in his hands.
Right.
So I don't expect to see him for a little while, but. We did just want to say congrats to him and his family. We hope that everybody's doing well. And, you know, we're just super excited that, you know, we get to see, you know, live on Twitter, all this new dad stuff that he's focused on and seriously stressed out about. Super fun for those of us that aren't dads yet.
I'm hoping for like a baby unboxing or some sort of review.
Oh, that feels aggressive.
Okay, well, Kevin the Tech Ninja, if you want to do it, you got a fan. You got a fan of me.
There we are. Well, barring that bizarre situation of unboxing a child, I think, let's dive in specifically to the subject at hand, which is, of course, the video games of 2018. So, Crow and I are both big video game fans.
It's true.
Yeah. What kind of systems do you have at home?
Oh boy, I have the Switch, I have the PS4 Pro, I have the Xbox One S, and I have a honest-to-God video game cabinet with over 700 games in it. That's taller than me and has wheels on the bottom. So totally. I have all the things.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a retro Pi. A Raspberry Pi with RetroPie set up.
That's cool.
It's not a cabinet, but it is pretty fun.
The cabinet is there purely for me to like relive my childhood dreams of playing Galaga alone by myself.
Yeah. Nobody plays Galaga to make friends. Not so much.
True.
Very cool. And you, so you've been playing games this year, I assume. Is there?
Yeah, I've been playing some games this year.
Okay. Anything in particular that's like jumped out at you as like something you really enjoyed or something that was, noteworthy?
You know, I've been playing every Battlefield I feel like is the same, you know, except the locations are different. But in the end, you've got some weapons. There's things in the weapons that kill other people and other video game characters. So I love playing Battlefield though, because I can pop in and jump out, play a match. There's interesting challenges. It's also something that I don't really have to think about, right?
Sure.
Like the other players are smarter than AI, for example. I just love the online mode. But otherwise, I mean, I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 like everybody else. There's nothing unique about my video game choices.
Yeah.
And Red Dead has been fantastic.
Well, and I think, you know, when we look at 2018, there are a number of games that came out that I think are on the top of most people's lists.
Yeah.
Even though it was a late entry, Red Dead Redemption. If you haven't played it, stop waiting. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go straight to whichever store, Xbox or PS4, that you want to get it from. It's a lot of fun. I've been obsessed about it. Anton's been playing it a ton too, who's behind the camera, giving us a sort of a nod, sort of a thumbs up. No, I've been a big fan of Red Dead. And again, I've talked at length about this in other videos. What is it about Red Dead that you enjoyed?
Well, I just think the sandbox world is unsurpassed. I mean, obviously it's brand new, so it'd be hard to surpass it in that amount of time. But you can go anywhere. The people react honestly to you. The NPCs, rather, I call them people. That's sort of how real they feel.
Yeah.
And you know what it reminds me of? I remember when Fable was coming out.
I loved that game.
And the promises that Peter Molyneux made about Fable were that you would be able to go into the world.
Right.
What you did in the world would last for the entire game. For example, if you struck like a small tree with your sword, then when that tree grew later on in the game, there would be that mark left in the tree. That absolutely floored me as a teenager.
Right. Well, and in an interesting way, you kind of get that with Red Dead too, right?
Yes.
The way you dress your character, the way that hair grows, right? Your hair as a character, like your beard grows, your hair grows, you got to take care of it or you just turn into this weird, sketchy looking shaggy dude.
Yeah, you're some sort of a Sasquatch coming in.
Right. And as two people who care very much about their facial hair, we know you can't just leave this. You got to manage this. This takes work, people.
It takes time and love. Care.
This is not a promotion for the Beard Club, but they're helpful. I agree. I mean, I think that one of the challenges that I've always experienced with games, I remember when I was young, I read a Choose Your Own Adventure about a kid who got stuck in a video game and ended up like, one of the endings was that he lived the rest of his days in the video game, which always struck me as like, well, that sounds like fun. But leading up to that,
depending on the game,
right? But leading up to that, the whole concept of the game that he was living in was that it was sort of like real life.
Oh, sure.
And I think that we're getting much closer in a lot of games to feeling that kind of experience as a player.
Yeah.
And I think Red Dead, Fable, these kinds of games, I mean, even Fallout, when I was playing it, Fallout 4 probably is a better example, really loved that and really think that that's a key part of games these days.
Yeah, and that sort of theme of living in this digital world has been kicking around for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Like William Gibson, what was it, Neuromancer, like those kinds of books. Snow Crash is one of my favorite novels, a Neil Stephenson sci-fi novel where people lived within a sort of video game world, and The Matrix came out. Ever since I read about it for the very first time, I've been into it. So trying to have any sort of approximation of a real life in another thing.
Yeah.
Where exciting things were happening, so maybe not Second Life. Apologies to all Second Life enthusiasts and diehards. But Red Dead feels like that. It's pretty close.
So let's talk about another game in the same kind of a vein that hasn't been received as well.
Okay.
And I would say that if I were to look at a game that was widely pushed this year that really disappointed fans, Fallout 76 would be the one that I would point to. Since we were mentioning the Fallout series before, I'm a Fallout fan. Right, I've played all the games. I've read far too many fan boards about lore and ridiculousness and like what's the science behind the Pip-Boy. I mean, it's just at 2 a.m. you go down the rabbit hole. Is all I'm saying.
Right.
But the fact is that Bethesda promised an immersive experience similar to a single-player game in a Fallout world, where without NPCs you were going to live like you were on the frontier of a brand new world that had been irradiated and was completely different than the world all the survivors left behind.
Right.
And mostly what we've gotten is a relatively bland Fallout experience. The graphics aren't as good, which is understandable. It's an MMO.
It's an MMO.
The lack of NPCs makes the game feel very lonely.
Yeah.
The lack of communication between players has, made many feel as though they're not really participating in the world. They're sort of just coexisting at best. And 3 nuclear bombs go off in the game, which is supposed to signal endgame content.
Yeah.
Players launch 3 at the same time, it crashes a server.
Right.
Nobody's got to be happy about this in the short term. Maybe in the long term as they, try to No Man's Sky it and get better as time goes on. But I don't know. I mean, are you as disappointed as I am?
I am so disappointed that I have not bought the game
or
tried it because I've read so much about it. And it's funny that you brought up No Man's Sky because that was like one of the last times where I was like, I'm not going to let myself be burned by hype anymore.
Right.
Now, the difference between Fallout and No Man's Sky is I didn't have any expectations for No Man's Sky because it wasn't a pre-existing.
Right, because you didn't have anybody coming on stage and being like, this is going to be the greatest thing we've made in this long line of great games. Yeah.
And Fallout, I mean...
Oh, Todd.
Well, I haven't played it yet. I'm going to wait for it to get better. That's the nice thing is that I trust in Bethesda to turn that around. I think Hello Games with No Man's Sky, again, since you brought it up, I think they kind of... They gave me the last time to be burned, but they also taught me to have more faith in it.
Sure. Well, and to be fair, there's something to be said for a new developer that tries something that is supposed to break boundaries.
Yes.
It's another thing when a well-established, incredibly well-respected studio, even if you joke about all the bugs in Bethesda games, you know that they produce high-quality games overall. When you see that they've produced something that is, at best, a C+ experience, you have to wonder if was it that they tried something that didn't work, or was it a fault of bureaucracy and too many people limiting what options could be made available? That even with all the innovations they've made in the game, that nobody sort of took the 20,000-foot view and said, I don't think this is actually going to be that much fun.
I think it was. I think you're right about the bureaucracy. I think there was a time limit on there, right? Christmas is coming up. They want to sell maybe in-game content or DLC. People are getting gift cards, and I think the holidays are coming up, and I think that was really what. Well, I don't know if it forced their hand, but it certainly, guided it.
I think so. I think so. I mean, I am really hopeful that Bethesda takes a hard look over the next couple weeks at making improvements, and they make them quickly. If you want to get through the holiday season and get people to actually buy it, you better make sure it's an experience that they're going to want. Right. And I think that their timing really is going to hurt them for sales this quarter, which Q4 of every year is the biggest quarter for anybody who sells products. Whether they're able to turn this from a middling launch into something interesting or not, I want to have hope.
Yep.
I believe that they as a company want to do right by the players, and they've had some missteps in these 40 some odd gigabyte updates that have happened several times since the initial game launch. Like, I get that they're trying to make these changes. I just hope that they take this as a sign that in future iterations of Fallout, maybe they need to do the Take-Two version, and it's a single player plus the online version, and maybe that helps them. I mean, Red Dead 2 Online, I'm playing the beta. It's not great, but you can tell that right now it's partly because it's a slow rollout. Maybe Bethesda would have benefited from a similar kind of experience.
The nice thing that Fallout has is that they've got people that are invested into that series.
Yeah.
And people, they're cashing in right now on their credibility. They're cashing in right now on the goodwill of their community.
Yeah.
Which online gaming communities don't have a lot of goodwill. And I think Fallout's community is one that has a surplus.
Yeah, I agree. Do you play Fallout 4?
Oh yeah, I played Fallout. I've been playing. I played Fallout.
Did you mod the hell out of it?
No, I played it on console. I finished it, and I never modded anything.
Wow.
I'm a vanilla guy.
I wasn't going to say it.
You can. It's
all right.
French vanilla, at least. Right?
What does that mean exactly?
It's a little slightly fancier.
Yeah.
Slightly fancier than regular vanilla.
I'm not so sure it's that fancy. All right. Look, I mean, I think that of the game, we've talked a lot about, these two games in particular. Yeah. I do think that it's partly because they're fresh in our minds. But, when I think about the impactful games of this year, another one that is worth talking about that was only released a couple months ago is the Spider-Man game for PS4, which was beautiful. And really, I mean, just you want to talk about a perfect execution on a game. Not so much the DLC, apparently. I haven't played that. But the actual game itself, the mechanics of it, the web slinging, the storytelling, the really, the really special special graphics. Let's try that again. I was going to say it was special graphics. No, but I mean the graphics, they make the experience feel special is I think what I was trying to say. I don't talk good. But I really enjoyed the fact that Spider-Man stories over time have evolved to the point where it's less a constant retelling of the origin story of Spider-Man and allowing us more and more to just live in the world, right? And I think that this really, even though it's a little bit of a origin of certain characters, it really does make us feel like we're enjoying the life of Peter Parker for a bit of time.
So I haven't played Spider-Man yet, and I'm a sort of old man, traditional get off my lawn type of gamer. Where if anything burned me in the past, there has to be excellent proof that whatever's coming after that is going to be good. So
Yeah.
my favorite superhero is Superman. Again, vanilla, super vanilla.
No, I'm okay with that.
But Superman 64 is one of the worst games ever made, and so I haven't been able to trust any superhero series for such a long time. I did play. There was a Spider-Man that came out on. Oh boy, I don't remember where it came out. It was pretty good.
PS1, PS2.
It's probably PS1.
Okay.
It was an early Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Maybe it was PS2. Maybe one of the first. I don't know.
Sure.
But I enjoyed that, but it still felt a little, shaky to me. But I have heard so many good things about this game. The only reason I haven't played it yet is because I've got a backlog.
Sure. You know, it's funny. So, speaking of Spider-Man, just sort of as an IP, one of the things that I think could be interesting in the future is that with this game, I really feel like they got the web slinging right, which I think is actually a really important component to the experience of Spider-Man.
For sure.
Having said that, there's something interesting about that also translates into the VR world that I think is worth pointing out.
Yeah.
It's not directly related to this, but I think it was about a year ago, I went to a Dell demonstration, and they were doing a VR, maybe it was a PlayStation VR thing. I don't remember what the exact setup was, but basically, Oculus Rift, couple of controllers, and you could web sling.
Oh.
And it was the scariest thing in the world.
Cool.
It was incredible, but I really felt like I was on the rooftops.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that I'm always going to be sad about is the fact that as console players, the mechanics of it as it looks is always going to be something we're going to work on.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that at some point we would actually get VR right, such that that experience would become something that we could do. Flying like Superman, web slinging like Spider-Man, like that's the kind of stuff that it's the one thing that is missing from this game.
Yeah.
Like some additional peripheral that allows us to experience it just a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think VR in general has not proven to be a technology we're all that interested in right now,
Not
and that's
yet.
fine.
Yeah.
We don't quite have it right, and frankly, after 10 minutes, I was just on the verge of puking because that screws with my inner ear.
Right.
I have a very gentle stomach, okay?
Yikes.
I'm not sad about it. It is what it is, and I've learned to accept it. But I do think that there's something about that kind of an experience that we need to take to the next level. So I guess my concern for this game is that have we hit the end of the Spider-Man improvement level?
Yeah. I mean, how real can you get so far? I mean, what's funny about VR? I don't know if I would want to be in a VR game where everything looked super realistic.
Right.
I actually would be all right with some kind of cartoony situation. Beautiful. Do you remember the game Beautiful Joe?
Sure.
With the cell shading and stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's rotoscope. I can't remember. But I would love to exist in that sort of environment.
Yeah.
But
Or Mirror's Edge. If you could do a VR Mirror's Edge
Edge
that was really immersive, and I think that there's been,
That'd be cool.
I'm not a Mirror's Edge player, I don't know if that there's been an adaptation for VR, but like that would be the kind of thing where it's like constantly running up buildings, time slowing, where that kind of experience would be clutch for that. We're getting off track, because really this is the point of this is Spider-Man was awesome.
Spider-Man was great.
Yeah. But I do think that actually, the one thing I do want to point out for Spider-Man that I thought was really interesting as well was the fact that the voice acting was done so well, right? And that's something that I think we often ignore because it's such an extra thing to think about.
Yeah.
So one of the things I liked, since you didn't play, there is different dialogue tracks for whether Spider-Man, as a character is in the middle of an action or he's moving slowly.
Huh.
So you can find them online, but there's videos where it's literally the dialogue is him like as he's swinging through the air. They engineered it so that it would sound and feel like he was saying it as though he was breathy and out of air because he was like in the middle of a swing versus he's walking down the street. That exact same dialogue has two different tracks.
Oh, that's really cool.
And the game knew contextually which one to play based on your action.
That's neat.
I really love that. And you got to give a shout out to the voice actors who did all of those lines several times in both environments because that sucks. There is nothing fun about that.
What do you think the process was for them to be breathy? You think they made him run on a treadmill?
Yeah, I would imagine that they had them like literally doing jumping jacks
that's so funny.
or something in that vein to make it, when they were doing the dual dialogue to like, first you did it flat, do it like you're walking and then do it like you were swinging in the air. I can't mimic that, right? So I guess I do push-ups until it's hard. Like, I don't know.
You do push-ups?
Like 3.
Okay.
Like ever.
All right.
Yeah.
I've heard of them.
Not more than that.
Seen them on TV.
Yeah. I think I read a book once. Anyway, to me, I really like that. And as somebody who's you do acting on the side as well. I've done it in the past. Like that's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I've seen anything such. I think that's just like a small incremental improvement, right?
Yeah.
Because any game you're watching, like where you're playing and somebody's doing something strenuous and they've got this calm voice and you're kind of taken out a little bit. And I think at some point we've got this. what is it called when you sort of suspension of disbelief?
You figured it out?
That's it. I made
so
that.
proud of you.
That's,
yeah.
Spontaneously generated. So, you know, the suspension of disbelief, the amount of disbelief we have to suspend is getting less and less for us. And I think that's really, really great.
Yeah.
Oh?
Yeah.
No?
I had a thought there.
Okay.
It disappeared.
Oh.
It's all right. Okay. Aside from that, you know, we really haven't touched on the Switch very much yet, which you and I both play. Mm-hmm. You have not tried Let's Go Pikachu yet, have you?
I just downloaded it today.
Okay.
So no.
So it's great. It's really easy. I'm going to throw it out there. This is not a Pokemon game if you're looking for something challenging. But if you've been somebody who's been a fan of Pokemon Go, and you're looking for something that's handheld, has some translation back and forth between that world, as well as like you really love the original Pokemon games, and you just want to relive those again, this is a great way to relive that. I mean, from like literally 22 years ago, I think, was the first Pokemon game's release. Oh my God. And, you know, the whole thing to me is just awesome.
Yeah, you know, Pokemon, I think I got Pokemon Blue first, but I bought, you know, Pokemon Blue and Red. I think I probably played Pokemon handheld games longer than I played any other game.
Yeah.
I love them so much. I played them several times. I wanted to catch all the Pokemon. And that's the real reason I bought it. Now, I'd watched some reviews, as we do here. We watch a lot of reviews. And I saw that some people were saying it's fairly easy. It's not going to be a challenge. I mean, it's a kid's game.
Yeah.
However, I thought those games were pretty challenging when I was younger. So I wonder how it's going to translate to me as an adult. Like, how far can nostalgia carry me?
Sure. I want to point out, by the way, apparently we're getting reports of a little bit of echo that sometimes happens in the stream. It's my fault. I did it. Just going to go ahead and claim responsibility right here, just FYI. No, I agree. I mean, I think I've talked at length with several folks here at the company about the fact that, like, nostalgia can run its course. And don't get me wrong, if they had just released an updated version of this game, right? Because this is essentially Pokemon Yellow.
Yep.
If they just released an updated version with really very minimal additions, I'd be upset because I don't want to replay that in HD. Like, I've got that on an emulator somewhere. I'm sure it's fine. Right. But what I do like about this is the fact that they've really integrated it into a very successful version of Pokemon, right? So if you're a Pokemon Go player and this is a holiday purchase for you, you're going to feel like the effort you put into Pokemon Go is going to really help you in Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee. Okay. And I think, too, the fact that they've taken the original game and they've redone some of the mechanics. So the big thing that you should know about catching Pokemon in Pokemon Let's Go doesn't require you to battle them. So there is no battling
that took so much
any
time.
of the Pokemon. Yeah. Only trainer battles.
Okay.
And you can have a support trainer coming on with you at the same time. So two people can play at the same time.
All right.
And catching Pokemon earns you experience points for your whole party.
Okay.
So what you end up with is mechanics that allow for faster growth of your Pokemon, more of a focus on stats, because you're really focusing more on finding the Pokemon that fit the stats you want for the team that you want, and more of a cooperative play amongst a story that is being retold with basically better refinement, right?
Cool.
So it's less about like you versus the grandson and that sort of like pseudo contest. It's really more about like, you know, sort of taking the experience of being a trainer in the original Pokemon game and refining it and making it feel more exciting.
Yeah, I feel like in the original games, I never really remembered that I was a trainer, and if so, as a kid, the sort of abstract idea of being a trainer probably didn't matter to me. Yeah. But now that I'm kind of, you know, more worldly and I care more about stats and I understand the math behind those things, and strategy is something I think about other than brute forcing my way through a Pokemon battle. Yeah. I feel like maybe that is exactly what I needed.
Okay. Yeah, I think, you know, you'll try it. You'll let me know. If you guys like it, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. I'd like to know.
I'll throw a fit on Twitter if I don't like it.
There you go. So, you know, other games that I think are worth mentioning, just to rapid through a few. You know, I can't speak today. Monster Hunter World, I did not play. I know a ton of people loved it.
I played it.
Yeah? Did you enjoy it?
You know, one of the cool things about Monster Hunter World is that just like living a real-life character in a video game, one of the other things that I love about video games is customization. Yeah. And really being able to custom. I'm talking about high-level detail customization. And Monster Hunter games have always allowed you to build super unique, cool weapons based on the monsters that you killed. And I love that idea. And it also reminds me of I mean, it is an RPG, but it has these sort of elements of classic JRPGs that I really, really, really love. It reminds me of playing, Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. That's how I feel when I play it. The world is interesting. The monsters are interesting. I do think that it's a little shaky with some of the controls on occasion.
Yeah.
But I love being able to track like a T-Rex that goes through like this dense underbrush and like looking for it and then finally finding it and then killing it and using its bones to make a giant sword. That's so cool to me.
Yeah. Well, as somebody who's never played this IP, do you think that, I mean, it was what, 10 years between release of like console games for this?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been.
So do you think that this is their reignition? Do you think they were successful in sort of like bringing this back to life in a way that people liked?
I don't know. I don't tend to see a lot of this, and this is just like sort of the online world I've built myself into, so it's anecdotal, of course. I don't see Monster Hunter being talked about a lot. As a matter of fact, the only reason I knew about it to begin with is because I ran across like a cheap copy in some sort of game bin while I was in college, and I couldn't afford anything in college, so I picked up Monster Hunter, and I was like, "Wow, what is this?"
You were flush with cash from all the money the university was giving you?
Right, at acting school.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, acting school. Kids, this is a PSA. Acting school. This is what happens.
Don't.
Yeah.
STEM.
Just yeah, God, please be an
STEM.
engineer. Anyway, so when you were poor in acting school like I was.
That's when I picked it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great then, and it's great now. I mean, because a lot of my friends don't play it, that's one of the reasons why it hasn't stuck with me a lot, because I sort of like being able to talk about games with people, and that sort of feels lonely to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think as we've gotten more internet connected in the world, and as I think more consoles are dependent on MMO-type experiences, as we were talking about before, I think single-player experiences have to feel really alive, too. And if it doesn't match up, then what are you going to do?
I mean, I almost never play single-player games anymore.
Really?
I mean, I will play Pokemon because it was a game that I used to play.
Right.
Red Dead is super. I mean, it has to be like Red Dead.
Right.
In terms of its
Which, to be fair, is like what GTA 5 was when it first got released, right? It made you feel as though you're really part of a world.
That's right.
Right. Very cool. What do you think? Did you play God of War?
Yeah, I played God of War for a little bit.
Okay.
And then I got overtaken by something else. Something else came out. But, I didn't play the old God of Wars. I kind of thought that they were, action gamers, which I'm not actually super into. But God of War, the story is amazing. I mean, the only, and the sort of like living in the mythos is great because I'm a history nerd, so I think that's kind of cool. I'm going to go back and play it. Now, normally when I stop playing a game for in any extended amount of time, I don't go back. I'm just like, okay, I'm done with it.
Right.
Goodbye. But I will go back and play it.
Yeah, I never finished Final Fantasy 15, and I don't know that I feel bad about that.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's okay. No, I'm with you though. One of my buddies was playing God of War, and it looked beautiful, but I knew that if I was going to play it, I'd become obsessed with it.
It's gorgeous. It's hard. Okay, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I played Dark Souls before. That's the hardest game, I think.
Right.
But God of War, I mean, there were times where you're facing like regular mobs or whatever, like just normal monsters, and if you're not careful, if you're really not thinking about how to battle them, you will die.
Yeah. And I should point out, our good friend El Jefe, he is a phenomenal creator. You all should go subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. He is pointing to Assassin's Creed. I assume not just Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which came out this year, but the Assassin's Creed games as well. Phenomenal IP, great experience. And this one in particular, I mean, the newest ones are always challenging, but again, you were talking about, sort of mythos and mythology. Like this one in particular has always been really, really in depth with the history of the game, with the history of within the game, as well as innovating on new mechanics. Did you try this one? Because
I haven't.
Yeah, I feel like I don't want to spend too much time on this one only because like neither of us have played it. But I do know that I've yet to be disappointed beyond beyond a little thing here or there with some of the Assassin's Creed games, but I would say that overall, they've always been good.
Oh, yeah. What's funny is I have like 4 or 5 Assassin's Creed games. Is there that many? Yeah, there has to be, right? I've got many. I have a friend who works at Ubisoft, so I get them for free. I have always enjoyed it. But the thing that I don't have anymore, which again is my personal problem, is I don't have patience for sneaking around anymore.
Oh no, that's my favorite thing. Oh my God, I love hunting in Red Dead Redemption 2 because it requires like patience and time. And then when I do it, I feel like I've accomplished something.
We hunt very differently. I ride around on my horse and I get out my giant rifle and
You get a lot of poor pelts.
Poor pelts. Poorest pelts. It's like Swiss cheese if it was fur. That's great.
Wow, that's an image. But so Assassin's Creed games don't speak to you because they require like, I mean, you can hypothetically play them as like just a hack and slash. You can. It's a lot harder.
It's real hard.
Yeah.
I was playing Origins, which I got into fairly late actually. You know, is in Egypt, which is super cool.
Right.
I like that a lot too. I just don't have the ability to play multiple games at once, so I probably will return to that too. But I'm really excited for this one. I love ancient Greece.
Yeah.
I love the city-states, and I hear that you can go visit, several of them, and that's exciting for me.
Yeah, I'm
just
with
let
you.
me explore, and I'm good to go.
Totally. There's so many other games to catch, and we've been going for about half an hour, so I don't want to.
No way!
I know.
Oh
it
my
went really
gosh.
quickly.
Wow.
So I'm going to throw out a few others that are just on my list of things that I think are worth checking out in case anybody's looking for some new recommendations or wants to be reminded of games from earlier this year. Mega Man 11, which I played the demo, it was totally worth it. I'm waiting until I get like 2 weeks at the end of the year during Christmas time to just like go and beat it. Beautiful and brand new mechanics for how you switch powers. So if you've been a Mega Man fan and you're looking for something new, this is the way to go.
I have broken some fist bones on Mega Man before. Talk about hard games. Before Dark Souls, it was Mega Man. I think, man.
I think we'd be remiss too if we didn't call out, to use that term, Call of Duty, Black Ops 4. For those of you that like the FPS, it's a return to the franchise, as it were, a sense of sort of the normalcy of it. And really, I think actually since we're talking about that, it's probably also worth calling out probably the biggest game of the year. Can you guess what it is?
Oh,
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
There isn't a platform, including your phone, that doesn't have a client for it.
Oh, Fortnite.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honest to God, people, if you're looking for the #1 game of this year, it's got to be Fortnite.
Has to be Fortnite.
And I got to say, as somebody who's been following Epic Games, I mean, since they were a tiny little distributor of games in Potomac, Maryland, like, I have been watching Epic Games since they were, like, sending out games on, 1.4 megabyte floppy drives. That was not a sentence. Let's try that again.
I thought you were going to say vinyl at first, and I'm like,
I mean, to be fair, floppy disks. I love the fact that it turns out that Epic Games has created probably the #1 game franchise of not only 2018, but probably 2019
and
as well.
And it's free!
Right, which I think is great.
It's free.
Right.
That's great.
And by the way, we were talking about this earlier. Shout out to all the gamers, guys like Ninja who spend an obscene amount of time playing this game over and over again. And a credit to Epic for having made all the new iterations with all the new seasons just interesting enough that those guys don't get bored.
Wow.
Like, that's impressive.
Wow.
Right? And I love the fact that it's a game. I mean, everybody's talked at length about this game, but like, I actually love the fact that it's a game that is as competitive for somebody in our age range as it is for a 5-year-old. Right? There is something to be said for a game that literally anybody can pick up. And once you get a sense of the controls, even if you're not terribly good and you don't win, getting back in is really easy. There's a lot of innovation around the game types. We were playing Disco Domination for a while where like you just get respawned and you just keep going. And like, that's the kind of stuff I love to see in a good multiplayer game. A sense of community, of fun, and just ridiculous graphics. I don't mean good. I just mean ridiculous.
Like, what was that game that was real crazy, super psychedelic, with somebody who was on a skateboard and he fought a bunch of monsters? It came out like a couple years ago.
Psychedelic and monster? I have no idea what you're talking about. If
anybody knows what game I'm talking about, you're swinging around, there's monsters, you got really crazy guns. Anyways, it's a game.
Well, that was super helpful. Hopefully somebody in the comments, I'll be watching. You guys let me know if anybody knows what he's talking about. I don't know what you mean, but how does it relate to Fortnite? Go.
Crazy, beautiful graphics, super hyper colors, insane guns, and fun characters. So,
yeah. So for a second, did you play PUBG at all either?
Yeah, I played. So I was actually good at PUBG. I'm not good at Fortnite. I am terrible at Fortnite.
Why do you think you were good at PUBG and not Fortnite?
I didn't have to build anything.
Okay.
And PUBG is. It's just a shooter, I think it has the elements of all the Battle Royale series where there's the shrinking cloud or force field or whatever it is. But honestly, beyond finding guns and shooting people, you don't have to worry about much. Now, Fortnite is if you don't know how to build and you're not building anything, well, then you're not even playing the game's title. It's called Fort. You have to build forts. You're just
at night.
At night, you're just.
Anyway, No, I get what you're saying. I mean, I would make a counter argument, which is not being able to build effective forts is actually more of a problem on PC and not so much on console. Because you are a lot slower on a controller than you are on a keyboard.
I was trying to get into Fortnite, and I watched a bunch of esports clans. You know, they have these or esports teams. I keep calling them clans. Guilds, whatever they are. They have a bunch of tutorial videos, like if you want to play like this team. And there are people who do the forts on console, and they do it extremely fast. Right. But they have their sensitivity turned up all the way.
Right, and they play 8, 10, 12 hours a day.
I can't do it.
No, you have a day job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if you had 12 hours a day to do the same thing over and over again and somebody was willing to pay you for it, which we're probably not, then you'd probably be really good at it too.
Sorry.
Think about it this way. It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at something, right?
That's what Gladwell says.
Right. So let's assume that just for the sake of math, the years of video games you've been playing gets you 5,000 hours of the way in. Just to give you that credit. 5,000 hours at 10 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Can you math it out?
Nope. I'm not going to try.
500 days. It would take 500 consecutive days at 10 hours a day to reach that level.
Oh, I could have done
Giving
that.
you a credit of 50%. Yeah, you could have really done that.
I could have done that. That's right.
Yeah, I just think that it's hard to compare yourself to another massive player like that. No. But I think one of the things I love about Fortnite is the fact that it doesn't matter. Sure. Even if you are, a person who has never played a video game, regardless of age, once you get a sense of how to do certain things, there's still a ton of things to do and have fun. Even if you get killed every time and you never make it even to the top 25, let alone the top 10 or to win. Yeah. You can mess around with different areas. You can explore in the storm. Like you can challenge yourself to other things, and they come out with so many new versions of the game within the game. Events. Then you're never bored, and I think that's really the innovative part that I love.
I think that's great. Yeah, and that's Minecraft, right?
Right. And in fact, Simply Beth mentioned that her 15-year-old still builds on Minecraft from time to time, which is another game that has had massive staying power.
Huge.
Right.
They just released there's a movie. There's like Minecraft story mode that came out on Netflix. It's just
right.
It's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
I thought Minecraft was going to trend downwards, and it has not.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't put money on that, because you'd have been wrong.
I don't have any money.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay, anyway. I mean, honestly, to me, the hallmark of a game that will probably outlast all of us, right? Even a game like the original Super Mario Brothers, right? Or Donkey Kong, or something from the early age of arcades. The thing that makes it interesting is the different ways that people find to play it and make it feel new again.
Right.
I don't know that a lot of modern games have that. Maybe in 30 years, it'll turn out that there's going to be a nostalgia for the time of HD and 4K. Who knows?
Right.
But having said that, I do think that there's something interesting about games like Fortnite, which could potentially, of all the games I've seen in the last 10 years, I would point to Fortnite as being the thing that I could see still going in the next 10 to 20 years.
Well, what are some modern games that have lasted? I'm thinking like Counter-Strike Go.
Sure.
People have been playing that game.
CSGO, Half-Life. I mean, the original Fallouts, right?
Yeah.
The Final Fantasy games on Super Nintendo and original Nintendo. Yeah. Well, maybe not the original Nintendo, but Super Nintendo and definitely Final Fantasy VII.
Well, Pokemon.
Sure. I mean, Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, heck, the entire NES Classic line on the Switch is probably a testament to the fact that these games will continue to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like ARMS, by the way, Nintendo. I think it's silly.
Yeah. Nobody likes ARMS. And honestly, dodgeball. Guys, really? You wanted to include dodgeball? Yep. Anton's nodding. He's like, I love dodgeball.
You like dodgeball.
He is a terrible human being and a traitor.
Super dodgeball.
Super dodgeball.
Wow, stay back there.
Yeah.
We're on camera. Wow.
I'll cut you guys off.
Yeah, are you doing, is that your Owen Wilson? Wow. Yeah, there you go.
That's me now.
Well, guys, I think we've wasted enough of your time. We do appreciate you joining. I want to thank Crow for co-hosting with me today. Anton behind the camera, as always. And, and of course, hold on. We were talking about all this. The PlayStation Classic comes out on Monday. El Jefe just reminded me in the chat. So I'm super excited to see that. And we haven't even had the conversations about my NES and SNES Classics. We'll save it for another time. We got stuff to do. If you like this and you want to check out more, be sure to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. Go check us out over at Unboxed.tv, where you can claim a profile. And I'm telling you this, if you're a creator, you're going to love it. We're opening up a whole line of tools that make your lives easier. So please, Go to unboxed.tv, sign up, let me know what you think. Check out some of the profiles of some of the top creators online, including guys like Austin Evans, Bored at Work, Kevin the Tech Ninja, Andrew Edwards, and more. Guys, I'm telling you, we're doing some really cool stuff over there, and we'd love for your feedback. So go, claim your profile, come back here, tell us what you think. Crow, where can the good people find us on Twitter and Instagram?
Get Unboxed, at Get Unboxed. That's where you can find us. And if you want to find Jason, he's at Half Nellis.
On Instagram.
On Instagram.
Yep.
What is your...
At Jason Nellis,
Jason
on
Nellis
Twitter.
on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm not good at the branding.
And don't find me. I'll find you.
Gross and weird. I don't know how I feel about that.
It's at Dr. Crow.
There you go. And guys, we really do appreciate all the time and energy you put into watching us. So if we don't get a chance to do another live stream for a little while, be sure to subscribe and you'll get a notification when we do. In the meantime, thanks as always for joining. We'll see you next time. And we're probably still live.
Let's have the fake conversation.
Anton, cut us off. Oh, God, please.
You guys are idiots.
All right.
No!